Get Warrior Tough, Mental Training 101 with Andrew Wittman and Dutch Coleman on 105.5 The Roar. And now back to Andrew and Dutch.
All right, back in the saddle. This really is the most monumental hour in media anywhere. Leadership and mental toughness coaches Andrew Wittman and the Dutch Coleman. Hey, if you want to join us on Twitter, use the hashtag GetWarriorTough. You can find Dutch at the Dutch Coleman, and I am at WarriorToughPhD, at WarriorToughPhD. All right, Dutch. I would like to talk about all the crazy coaching changes that are going on in college football right now. It is just mind-blowing to me that, I mean, first that nonsense out at LSU, Les Miles is in, he's out, he's in, he's out. Mark Richt is gone. They're firing coaches in the middle. You got Steve Spurrier quitting. Sarkisian gets the boot. I know we've talked about all these things, and you got the guy in Miami's going. I mean, it's just like, what is going on, dude? The vacuum or the lack of leadership, or is it? I don't know, man. People are not dissatisfied. They're dissatisfied with this result. They're dissatisfied with that result. What is going on, man? This is a microcosm of real life, though. I see this in companies and corporations, and people will fire a guy like Mark Richt because he ain't winning the big one, but they would never fire themselves, and they've been sitting in, having an average life with a bad marriage or a bad, family relationship. They're bad neighbors. They hate their job. They hate their life, but we'll get rid of Mark Richt, man.
The funny thing about athletics is that that's not the only place where we measure performance. We've gone so far as that we rank colleges and universities, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we rank teachers. I mean, we rank other things within the university, right? Are we firing the president because Georgia's not a top 20 public school?
Wow.
Or because Miami's not in the top 20 of private universities, maybe, or the top 10? Or when are they going to be number one? When are they going to be the number one private university?
Yeah.
Well, sure they're number 15. But when are they going to be number one? So do we fire the president? Do we remove the board of trustees and replace them every year that we're not number one? All these things are funny because we have these same measures in everything that we do with respect to that university, but only the athletics and the things involved with athletics have the same type of consequences. Now, don't think the presidents aren't getting paid a lot of money as well. Don't think that the teachers aren't getting paid well at the college level. Don't think the researchers aren't getting their money. It's just ridiculous to hold those people accountable to that level when you look at what Mark Richt was able to do. And could he have done better? Yes. When you have a guy like Nick Saban setting the standard, it's skewing the whole thing for everyone.
Anybody could do better, okay? We can always do better. Nick Saban ain't perfect, man. I mean, as great as he is, he can't find a quarterback or a kicker. Are you kidding me? Okay, so we can always do better. But I just don't get
Nick. Do we fire Nick for not winning it last year, Andrew?
No, and he did. Yeah, he lost that game. And then, how about the year with the kick six with the Iron Bowl? The only thing that saved him is everybody was afraid he was going to go to Texas. That was a brilliant strategy. I know. I'll act like I'm going to Texas. I have my agent put that out, and then they'll be, no, please wait. That's the only time that an Alabama coach lost the Iron Bowl, and everybody's, sucking up to him. It was a brilliant strategy.
And I tell you what, when I look at Nick Saban, and I decide if he's a good coach or not. I decide if he's the guy I want to lead my program, and then I leave him there. I have to be reassured that he's trying to get better every year, that he's doing things
right,
and that I agree with, that's moving the program forward. It's not going to always move the program forward, but are the methods and the processes he's doing improving us? Because sometimes you can improve without winning the game. So I think Nick Saban has Alabama in a place that the folks at Alabama should be comfortable with, that he is striving. He's putting everything he can into winning. Even if he doesn't find that quarterback, there's no evidence that he's not searching for that quarterback.
Right.
And I think that's the difference.
Okay, so take that guy, and then you have Spurrier on the hand, who's arguably another brilliant genius coach. He just checks out and says, you know what, I'm tired or whatever, and quits in the middle of the season.
And there was evidence, Andrew, if you go back in previous years, that he checked out before that.
Oh, yeah, and I said that when I was on Out of Bounds with you and Kwok back in the day, and when he started saying, decommits are happening, I'll only be here, that self-talk identified him. The boats aren't burned. And this is, again, you'll always take plan B. If you have a plan B that's really plan A, you're delusional. It's just a matter of time till you take it.
and they're the great coaches. You know, I didn't hear Mark Richt checking out. I didn't hear any signs of him checking out. Now, losing games is one thing. Checking out is another thing.
Yep.
From what I saw, Rick was still recruiting well. He's still grinding. He's doing all those things. If you're doing all those things, and I think you're the leader for me, and not just wins and losses, you're talking about the character element, the education element. We're dealing with amateur sports here. So if you look at all those things, you say he's still doing all those things, then you keep him. Now, again, if you are a program that says we're only concerned with wins and losses, and you're willing to admit that, then you get rid of Mark Richt. I'm not going to argue.
But you know what? Yeah, I don't even think that's it, because now all the reports are that they're going to hire Kirby Smart, somebody who has. And this is the next thing I'm going to launch into. Okay, I love Kirby Smart. You know, defensive coordinator for Alabama, has been there for a number of years, been successful. That doesn't mean he's a head coach.
Right. But
that doesn't mean
he's
he can
associated with wins and losses.
Yeah, he is, but that doesn't mean he can do it. Okay, so now look, you have McElwain in Florida. Okay, he's been successful at a level in the SEC his first year at Florida that no first-time coach has been. But he ain't a first-time head coach. He went to Colorado first and worked out his stuff, right? Gus Malzahn had head coaching experience before he showed up at Auburn. See, you can't practice it. Listen, Georgia is nuts, man. You don't take a kid and give him the keys to a Ferrari and he ain't learned to drive yet.
They're chasing wins and losses, and that's why I said they're admitting what they're doing.
Yeah, but they're not going to get.
And they're going to fail. Yeah,
they ain't getting it.
They're going to fail for other reasons. But what I'm saying is that they have Georgia. You have Georgia sitting there with Mark Richt, a guy who exemplifies leadership, who exemplifies all the things you want. You get rid of that guy, so you're admitting to me that that's not really important.
Nope.
So you go to a place in Alabama that's associated with wins and losses, and you try and rip a guy away for no other reason than he's associated with wins and losses. You forget about things like experience in leadership. You forget about all those things, and you're chasing wins and losses, and you're going to fail.
The learning curve to go from defensive coordinator to head coach. Listen, this is what we do, Dutch. This is what you and I do as consultants, not just in sports, in leadership across businesses. We do it in sports. We do it in leadership in business. We do it for law enforcement. We do it for the military. We do it for government agencies. I'm telling you, the learning curve is huge to go from that position to you're the guy. It's the same thing in politics. Listen, I'm telling you, this is watch out, Georgia. Watch out. Because I'm telling you, Kirby Smart's an awesome dude. He ain't a head coach. He's got zero experience. The learning curve on that, he has no idea. This is, I talked about this, that great shooters, in Navy SEALs and Marines and Rangers, they tell you have to have 10,000 rounds on target before you can even begin to become great at something.
This is the thing I look at it, to look at it slightly differently, Andrew, is that even if you don't have experience as a leader, there are certain people, when they get hired, it's hired because people perceive them or people see them or have identified them as a good leader.
Right.
People don't look at Kirby Smart that way. So even coming into a leadership role, he has never been associated with leadership.
No.
So if I have Kirby Smart and everyone's looking at him going, man, that guy's a great leader one day. He's a future leader. This guy is man, I'm telling you, everything pointing to his success is about leadership. I'm going to give him the keys to my Ferrari for all those reasons, because he is this impending leader. All he needs is the keys. No one ever said any of that about Kirby Smart.
Right.
So that's a bigger issue, that they're not chasing a leader.
Yeah.
They're chasing something else, because if I'm searching for a leader, there's a better chance that I'm going to end up with wins and losses than if I'm chasing wins and losses, then I'm going to end up with a leader.
Yep. No, man, I know. It seems subtle. It seems like it's semantics, what you're saying, but what you're saying is the difference between great and average, between being elite and average. It's a subtle shift, and I'm telling you, man, there's so much average-minded, and that's the language you use in the warrior cultures, the average-minded, the average mindset that they're going after. They're chasing they're chasing results instead of chasing execution.
I have an example, a weird example that just hit me. Dabo Swinney never was a head coach before. Before he got the job, I told my wife asked me, what's all the nonsense going on with Tommy Bowden? I said, well, I think they're going to end up getting rid of Tommy Bowden. And we're friends with Coach Bowden. So she's like, well, why? Why are they going to do that? She doesn't understand. She was, involved in her own deal with her own sport.
Right.
Well, why are they going to get rid of Coach Bowden? So I kind of explained to her where the program was at the time, and she says, what are they going to do? And she can attest to this. I said, well, I think they will probably get rid of him. Who are they going to hire? I don't know. I think they should hire Dabo Swinney. Now, this is before Dabo ever got the job.
Right.
And she said, Dabo, why would you hire Dabo? Isn't he just like one of the staff coaches? And I said, yeah. I said, but he's a tremendous leader. I said, the way he interacts with those kids, the way he's recruited most of those kids, they look up to him. And I explained some other things that I knew privately about Dabo. And I said, in a situation like this could ruin the program if they go out and they flip it on his head, because Coach Bowden had got us to a certain place.
Right.
If you go hire a coach on the outside, it could flip everything over. He's going to try to change everything is going to set us back a couple years. But if they hire Dabo, because he's a great leader, we have a chance to retain all the advances
right.
that Coach Bowden made. So she found out that they hired Dabo before I did. So she calls me. She said, "Did you hear what happened? You hear what happened?" And she said they hired Dabo. They hired Dabo. She, just like you said. You remember you said that a couple months ago they should hire Dabo, and I said, "Yeah, I remember." She said, "It happened." I said, "Yeah, it happened." So he was identified as a leader. Not as a wins and losses guy, but as a leader.
And he's in the program. So he's kind of taking, it's the same thing with like Jimbo Fisher. He was down there underneath. And you know what? And Will Muschamp, this is where I think he blew it. He could have walked into the Texas thing if he was patient, right? But then he leaves to go start his career as a head coach, and he falls on his face because it's not. And the meltdown he had during the Iron Bowl. Holy smoke, dude. Don't give that guy the keys to the Ferrari ever. Yeah. But you know what? So, and that's what I'm looking at this thing, and I'm going, you got to work these things out. And I look, Dutch, I'm going to put it on our level, our personal level, okay? You and I, we're doing this show. Someday this thing is going to go national, and it's going to be huge, what we do. We got to practice right now and work out how we get better. We got to get our 10,000 rounds on target before we ever hit the national. And when people see somebody on the national stage, they think that, oh, there they are, boom. What you don't see about Dabo, he's a great leader, but he's been working those processes, getting ready, preparing for that time to execute as the head coach and be a leader, not just be a coordinator or a staff guy.
Absolutely. But the bottom line, when searching for a leader, the least they have to be is a leader.
Right.
That's the least they have to be is a leader.
If you're searching for a leader and you're hiring for a leader, you would think at least get somebody who, and when we keep talking about leader, remember, and we talk about this in CEO View, that leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. It's just influence. Skill and craftsmanship and influencing direction, course of action, attitudes, and opinions. And if you can't even influence your own or, control your own, then how are you going to be able to push out that airspace and get other people to follow you?
And Andrew, I tell you, I may be in a minority. I may be proven to be wrong, but I've never heard any of those things associated with Kirby Smart. And I hope he works. I hope it works out for his case.
I like Kirby Smart, man. I love him. I hate that he's leaving Alabama, but I think he's getting set up for failure.
Yeah. Yep. Could be. And we're going to find out real soon, because we've already seen that the expectations at Georgia are ridiculous. So how soon are they going to expect these things from him? He's the great Kirby Smart, coming from Alabama, from all the wins and losses associated with Alabama. He's carrying all that with him.
I know. And then to look at Georgia, what are their expectations? They like you said, they don't hold anybody else in the institution to those they're dissatisfied with results. Hey, look at your own results. Stop looking at Mark Ricks and saying what you don't like. And again, the facts and the truth, and here's my truth. And once you get down that, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You get rid of the guy we don't like. And I think Les Miles would have been on that chain, except that the fans saved him. I really think the fans saved him.
Yes.
All right, we got to go to break. We'll be right back.